Welcome to our executive interview series at the UiPath on Tour Public Sector Conference presented by FedScoop. I'm Wyatt Cash, and I'm here with Dr. Joe Besselman, Chief Disruption Officer for the Department of Air Force. Joe, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Let me get your impression, if I can, for government agencies that are starting to explore AI and automation. What advice would you give them about ensuring a smooth and effective implementation?
That's a great question, and it hits on something that for us and for my efforts from a disruption point of view is really important. And the most important piece of advice I would give other departments or agencies or even other domains within an agency is that you got to stay focused on the massively scaled services that are available at low cost on an innovative velocity that a defense contractor that was giving a contract award to do some custom engineered implementation could never keep up with that velocity. And the rationale is we're in a phase, a commoditization phase of IT/software, and we're trying to transition the department off this habit of custom engineering implementations on a system-by-system basis. There's actually enormous commonality, especially for infrastructure services, especially for what we call continuous integration, continuous delivery pipelines, and then for the exploitation of massively scaled services, like those available from Amazon, like GPT-4 from Azure, like Gemini and Code Assist from Google. We want put the emphasis on using those and training your workforce to use those massively scaled services that are very cheap. And when I say train your workforce, I mean make simple hands-on training available to every single person. Because this particular the generation 4, whether it's Gemini or ChatGPT-4 or their open source derivatives, this technology is not going to replace any humans, but, and I'm riffing on a Stanford professor, I forgot his name, the technology coupled with people using the technology and training, they will replace humans that aren't using the technology. So it's critically important to get everyone trained. The other aspect of it is, I think, when you think about the lowest common denominator technologically in the organization, having access to like ChatGPT-4 or Gemini is going to make those people those good at using the technology and have patience through incrementalism, they will become very, very powerful employees. And I think literally in the months, and I mean months and maybe a year to 2 years ahead, I think a lot of leaders inside certainly the Department of Defense and other federal agencies are going to be shocked at some people without any formal technological education that are going to build some really powerful capabilities. Because you have the ability right now with the fourth generation to build things using GPT without having any understanding of code, but understanding how to use the tool to assemble pieces of code is the real power of what it brings. And it's going to change the game. It's going to make obsolete a lot of our COTS products that many vendors want us to go buy and many defense contractors will nudge us to go buy, that we really no longer need when you have a workforce that's adroit at using what we call generation 4 of this technology. The other things I would say are really, really important is use reciprocity to the greatest extent possible at high velocity. Reciprocity enables velocity. The message for the senior leaders is everyone talks reciprocity. Everyone says it in their PowerPoint charts. Precious few senior leaders walk it and make their subordinates accountable to honor reciprocity. I've sat and listened to the last 2 or 3 CIOs we've had from, I'll just say the Department of the Air Force. They've all strongly supported reciprocity. But it's that next echelon down, that frozen generation, or it's not even the middle, it's the frozen upper class that's not at the 2 or 3 star level. that is impeding the use of reciprocity. And so you really have to have the CIO engage in literal hands-on governance to get that bureaucratic layer to enforce it and walk the talk. Other things that we should be doing to the greatest extent possible, and this is really important in the Department of Defense, a lot of what we're doing is still department or agency focused, and we've got to start thinking about massively scaled capabilities that transcend departments and agencies and become multi-department capabilities. And we sort of already have a great model right now that was built by the Army and the Air Force called the Global Content Delivery System that runs inside DISA. It's a great model because 4,000 systems are using it. It should be 10,000 systems using it. It's just that we do a very poor, that leadership echelon does a poor job of governance and enforcement of people using these massively scaled services that are, again, low cost on average, and on an innovative velocity no defense contractor could ever match. So we have to pay attention and get these big capabilities out and then do genuine governance. Make people migrate to use the services, shut down what's typically called shadow IT that's outrageously expensive and eating up a lot of taxpayer dollars that could actually be repurposed to enable us to go much faster and adopt new technologies much faster. The last point I'm going to make, I'm going to come back to something I talked about near the beginning, and that is you've got, and I'm being somewhat pedantic, but this topic deserves, I guess, what is it, pendency? We have to give the technology to every single person in the workforce and make every single person in the workforce a powerful user of this technology. We need that sort of demographic advantage because relative to the populations of Russia and China and the economics of their workforce versus ours, they really have a 20 to 30 advantage over us demographically. And they will eventually get around bureaucratically to using this technology too. And I think we have a period of time, given our industry birthed these technologies, that if we put it in the hands of our workforce at high velocity, we will have a huge advantage technologically that will offset the demographic advantage that these, at least economic adversaries, have over us. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Some great points. Dr. Joe Besselman, thank you for coming by, sharing some of your insights and perspectives here at the UiPath on Tour Public Sector Conference.
Okay.